All right, we're about to take a journey into a world that's, well, it's as close as it gets. It's literally inside you right now. We're going to talk about the gut microbiome. And, it's a topic that's got a ton of hype around it. But behind all that noise, there's some really, really cool science. So let's try to separate what's real from what's just a fad, shall we? So let me kick this off with a pretty big question. What if you are more than just human? I know, it sounds a little like science fiction, but it's actually our biological reality. Every single one of us is playing host to this massive, bustling community of trillions of microorganisms. Okay, so in our first section here, let's get properly introduced to these residents. I want you to start thinking about your gut in a new way. It's not just part of your plumbing, it's a living, thriving ecosystem with its own unique set of rules. Now, to really get a handle on the sheer scale of what we're talking about, check this out. For the longest time, the common wisdom was that microbial cells outnumbered our own cells by 10 to 1. But science keeps moving, and newer estimates point to something that's maybe even more profound. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. For every single human cell in your body, there's roughly one microbial cell. We are literally as much them as we are us. So, what is the gut microbiome anyway? Well, it's the official name for the whole community of microorganisms. We're talking bacteria, archaea, fungi, the whole crew that live in your digestive tract. And they're not just visitors passing through, they've totally set up shop and formed this incredibly complex, living ecosystem. And yeah, you've probably heard a bunch of other names for it. Gut flora, gut microbiota, intestinal microbiome. They're all kind of pointing to the exact same idea. So don't get bogged down in the terminology. They all lead back to this amazing inner world. All right, so we've met the residents. Now let's get into what they actually do. Because these little microbes, they are not just freeloaders. No way. They're an incredibly hardworking community, and they perform jobs that are absolutely essential for our bodies to work the way they should. One of their most important jobs is actually creating fuel. And the whole process is pretty straightforward. It all starts when you eat foods that your body can't break down by itself. Think of things like complex fibers. That's when your gut microbes jump in. They ferment that fiber and, in the process, create these amazing, super valuable compounds called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs for short. So why should you care about SCFAs? Well, think of them as these little powerhouses for your gut. They're absolutely critical for keeping your gut barrier strong. They help send signals to your immune system, and they're even the main source of energy for the cells that line your intestine. Super important stuff. And this is the part that's so cool. It's not a one-way street at all. It's this dynamic, constant conversation going on. What you eat talks to your microbes. Your microbes then talk back to your immune system and the lining of your gut. Everything is completely interconnected. Now, all of this incredible work really hinges on one key thing: balance. Because just like any ecosystem you'd find in nature, the gut microbiome is a really delicate one. So what exactly does it take to keep it all healthy and in harmony? A term you're going to hear a lot in this space is microbial diversity. And all that really means is how many different types of species you have in your gut and how well balanced they are. In the natural world, diversity is always a sign of a healthy, resilient ecosystem. And the exact same principle applies right here inside of us. This slide really breaks it down nicely. A more diverse microbiome is just tougher. It's more robust. It can handle changes from your diet or from stress a whole lot better. On the flip side, a less diverse one can be more fragile, and we do often see lower diversity in people who have certain health conditions. But, and this is a really big but, we have to be so careful with this point right here. Just because two things are linked, like low microbial diversity and a health issue, that does not prove that one caused the other. That's the classic association does not equal causation. Science is still working hard to figure out all the exact cause and effect relationships. So, what are the things that can knock this delicate balance out of whack? Well, the science points to a few usual suspects. Diets that don't have a lot of different kinds of plant fibers, or diets that are super high in ultra-processed foods. Those are often linked to an imbalance. And, of course, life-saving antibiotics, as important as they are, can sometimes temporarily reduce diversity as a side effect. And the influence of this ecosystem goes way beyond just your digestion. Scientists are digging into this absolutely fascinating connection called the gut-brain highway. It's basically a two-way communication superhighway between your gut and your brain. And this link is being looked at for its powerful role in everything from our mood and stress levels to even how much energy we have. Okay, so this brings us to the most important part, right? The practical stuff. Now that we understand a little bit about this inner world, how can we be good stewards of it? What can we actually do to support this vital ecosystem? Let's make this really clear. The single most powerful tool you have at your disposal is right there on your plate. What you choose to eat day after day is one of the biggest, most significant factors that shapes the community living in your gut. And the best strategy isn't about what to take away, it's about what to add. The goal is to get a wide variety of fiber-rich plants, legumes, and whole foods onto your plate. These are the very foods that feed your good microbes. And things like fermented foods, when you eat them regularly, can also help bring some new helpful players into the community. But hey, it's not all about food. Remember that gut-brain highway we just talked about? Things like managing your stress and getting consistent sleep are also huge pillars of support for your entire system. And that absolutely includes your gut. Now, I really want to tackle a common myth that you see all over the place in marketing, this idea of a gut reset. The concept that you can just wipe the slate clean with some juice cleanse or a fancy kit. To be honest, it's really misleading. The reality is that supporting your gut health isn't some quick fix. It's not a weekend project. It really is a long-term process. It's much more like tending a garden than it is flipping a light switch. So the main takeaway here is this. The goal is gradual adaptation. The choices you make today will influence your microbiome over the course of weeks and months, not hours and days. Consistency is so much more powerful than short bursts of intensity. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Now that you can see yourself as a steward, a caretaker of this incredible inner world, what's one small, simple thing you can do this week to help nurture your inner ecosystem?